Vladimir Putin speaks at an expanded meeting of the Defense Ministry Board. At the beginning of his speech, the president warmly thanked the servicemen who are selflessly and steadfastly fighting on the front lines. A minute of silence in memory of the fallen soldiers of the special operation was also announced. Vladimir Putin noted, the families and children of the fallen soldiers must be surrounded with constant care. He also notices this, their children are our children, the president said. Previously, Putin met with heroes of the Russian Federation and personally supports their families. He said, "We will help solve your problems and look after your families." In his speech, we notice his West rhetorics again. He said this, Russia has liberated 189 settlements in 2024 as part of a special operation in Ukraine. West is pushing Russia to the red line, and Moscow can only respond as simple as that. We are ready to fight back, as they say, along the entire front. And it is not only along the line of combat contact. The truly global, decisive confrontation affects all aspects of our lives. Culture, education, worldview, the economy, and the technological sphere. They consider themselves representatives of God on earth, although they themselves do not believe in God. The United States and the entire collective West, trying to maintain their dominance, continue to impose their rules on the entire world, but do not follow them themselves, said Vladimir Putin, speaking at a meeting of the Defense Ministry. The West keeps imposing its rules on the world, but for it, there is only one rule. No rules, Putin stressed. If the United States starts deploying medium-range missiles, Russia will give up voluntary restrictions in this area, the Russian leader warned. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu proposed calling up Russian citizens aged 21 to 30 for active duty, building up the personnel strength by another 30%, and deploying 20 new divisions. The defense chief proposed increasing the size of the Russian armed forces to 1.5 million. He also spoke for re-establishing the Moscow and Leningrad military districts and setting up a new combat group in the country's northwestern regions. In response to the potential accession by Finland and Sweden to NATO, Andrei Belousov thanked the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, the President's administration, the Federal Assembly, the government, and Sergei Shoigu with this speech. Esteemed President Putin, I would like to express my deep gratitude to you for your constant attention to the issues of the construction and development of the armed forces and social security for servicemen and their families. I would also like to thank the President's administration, the Federal Assembly, and the government for their consolidated support for our work. I want to express my gratitude for the joint work to our colleagues in the power bloc. And of course, I would like to sincerely thank Sergei Shoigu for creating a powerful foundation for the development of the armed forces. Supreme Commander-in-Chief, all the tasks you assigned will be accomplished. We will ensure the progressive development of the Army and the Navy and increase their combat capabilities. The priorities for the armed forces will be discussed in the closed session of the board. During the expanded meeting of the Defense Ministry Board, Russian President Vladimir Putin delivered a pointed critique of Western policies, framing them as aggressive and destabilizing. Below are the key aspects of his statements. 1. Accusation of hybrid warfare. Putin accused Western nations of waging a hybrid war against Russia, specifically mentioning their comprehensive support for Ukraine. This support includes the provision of real-time intelligence to Ukraine, supply of advanced weaponry and financial aid to sustain Ukraine's military operations, extensive information campaigns aimed at undermining Russia's global standing. Second, missile deployment and strategic threats. Putin expressed grave concerns over the deployment of U.S. missile systems in Europe and Asia, viewing these actions as direct provocations. He emphasized that such deployments threaten Russian national security. In response, he warned that Russia might reconsider its self-imposed restrictions on developing and deploying short and medium-range missiles, signaling a potential escalation in arms race dynamics. Third, erosion of arms control agreements. Putin highlighted the systematic dismantling of international arms control agreements by the United States and its allies. He pointed out, The U.S. withdrawal from the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty in 2002 and the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces, INF, Treaty in 2019. The failure to renew or create new agreements, which has left the global arms control framework in disarray. His belief that the lack of trust between Russia and the West makes future negotiations on arms control nearly impossible. Critique of NATO expansion. Putin reiterated his long-standing opposition to NATO's eastward expansion, accusing the alliance of encroaching on Russia's red lines. He argued that NATO's presence near Russia's borders is a provocation. The military buildup and exercises in Eastern Europe and the Arctic are destabilizing the region. Response strategy. In light of these developments, Putin emphasized the following strategic priorities for Russia. Strengthening Russia's defense capabilities with a focus on high-tech military innovations. Bolstering the readiness and modernization of its nuclear triad to serve as a robust deterrent. Enhancing cooperation with allied nations to counter Western influence in global affairs. These statements underscore escalating tensions between Russia and the West, particularly in the context of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and NATO's actions in Eastern Europe. Putin's rhetoric suggests a readiness to escalate military preparations if the West continues its current policies.